always wanted to become world champion and always would do anything to do it. I picked it up like a duck to water, and you know the old saying, you know, a happy fighter's a dangerous fighter.
Hello and welcome to a Boxing Insider special. We're delighted to be joined by the undisputed super lightweight world champion, Josh Taylor. Josh, how are you feeling? Just a few weeks out now from this huge one against Jack
Catterall.
Catterall.
It's going well. It's going well. Well, obviously my face is telling a different story, but no, it's going well. Camp's going well. Training's going well. You know, I'm feeling good, feeling fit, feeling strong. So yeah, everything's good, and I can't wait to get in there in just over 3 weeks' time. So yeah, it's going to be good.
It's been an incredible journey so far, but I think what's even more remarkable about your journey is the fact you actually started in Taekwondo, and boxing didn't come to you until very late, and your mother's influence was the key in terms of you coming into the sport. So can you tell us about that? Yeah,
well, kind of, I was a black belt in Taekwondo, and you know I was going all over the place, doing competitions, and then I got into teaching it and stuff as well. But then it started taking over my life a little bit, where I was training all week, and then at the weekends I was coaching and doing things like that, and I kind of just fell out of love with it a little bit, because I was at that age when my friends were starting to go out and you know and do things, you know, in high school and things like that, you know. So I was a bit like never had any time with myself, so I kind of just fell out of love with it a little bit, and but I was always loved the training and loved doing the fighting side of it and the combat side of it. So I kind of just wanted to get something to do to keep fit, really, you know. And I got watching Alex Arthur on the boxing, and when I was a young kid, he was challenging for titles and stuff at the time, and he trained at my mum's work in Meadowbank Sports Centre in Edinburgh, and I managed to get in a couple of times when my mum's very friendly with him, so I managed to go in and watch him training a couple of times and that, and then I started joining in with him, you know. I was just sitting watching him, you know, because he was on the telly challenging for titles, so I was kind of like starstruck at the time and not saying much, you know, and he was like, get up and do something, you know, you're just sitting there not doing nothing, join in. And so I got up and started hitting the bag and stuff, and he had asked if I'd boxed before. And I was like, no, I've never seen inside of a boxing gym ever before, you know. And he was like, oh, you look like you've boxed before and that. And I told him I was black belt, and he says, come back tomorrow and we'll do a bit of training and stuff. So that's kind of how it started. I then ended up doing near enough all his training camp with him while I was on my school holidays. You know, I was going in every day and going. My mum was going to work, so I was going up to work, my mum's work with her, and just sitting waiting on Alex Arthur coming in, and we'd go do training, and I'd be there all day with him, you know. And that's how I kind of got started, and just as to keep fit and enjoying it, really. And then I found out that there was actually a boxing club in Meadowbank on a Monday and Wednesday night, and so me and a couple of my friends went up on the bus after school, and my dad took me first to my first session, my first couple of sessions, and then me and my friends started going, but they dwindled away quite quickly, you know. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the training, and I enjoyed the sparring, and I'd only been there for a couple of weeks, and the coach asked me to spar, and I was sparring with the Scottish champion, one of the Scottish champions at a weight above me, and I'd done really well in the sparring, and I thought, oof. I was kind of like really nervous before, because it was boxing. I'd never done boxing before in my life, and you know, but it was good. I did really well, and then, you know, I got asked if I wanted to do a fight, like I think it was a couple of months later, which was the Eastern Districts Novice Championships. But I ended up going in the Open Championships because the numbers were a little bit low, so I ended up having to go into the Open class, and my first fight I drew the Scottish champion. His name was Callum Susans, and I remember it like it was yesterday. It was my first fight, you know, and I lost it. It was a draw, but I lost it on a count back, and I remember going nuts because I'm the world's worst loser, you know, going nuts, chucking my head guard off and chucking the medal away and all that, you know, because I wanted to win. But it wasn't until afterwards that, you know, my coach and my dad and that were like, you know, that was a Scottish champion, Josh. It was just your first fight. You've only been boxing for 3 months or something, you know, training and that. You've done all right, you know. But that, to me, it was the worst day of my life because I got beat, because I'm super competitive, you know. But obviously everybody knew the talent that I had, and I just kept going as a hobby, really. You know, it was just as a hobby and something to do to, excuse me, keep fit and keep active. You know, just because I liked it. I never ever thought that it would be a career path that I've ended up choosing.
How much do you think the Taekwondo helped you in terms of adapting to boxing so quickly? And what sort of boxer were you like back then? Are there any resemblance to you now of what you were then?
I think so. You know, I think because I think my feet work and my coordination and my hand-eye coordination definitely helped from the Taekwondo. You know, and that's where I get the switching stances and moving around, and that definitely gave me the basis of how to sort of move around the boxing ring or move around the ring. And I knew how to throw punches, like basic punches, and I knew how to move around the ring in a boxing stance. You know, so it was quite easy for me to pick it up. You know, the thing that was hard for me to do was to stop kicking people in the head, which I did a couple of times, my first couple of sparring sessions and stuff. The coach wasn't too happy about, and I had to explain what my background was, and he was like, all right, he says, you need to stop it. Like, a couple of times for a few weeks, I was lifting my legs when people were coming to attack me, and but no, I picked it up like a duck to water, and it was quite easy for me, you know. So yeah, I enjoyed it from the get-go.
What were you doing for work at that time? Because I read you talking about how you got laid off a few jobs because at that point you were getting involved in more and more amateur competitions where you needed to travel most weeks, but you were trying to have an income as well at the same time.
Well, I was at college at the start. I was at college doing mechanics and stuff, but I kind of fell out of love with it. I went to college to do mechanics and I ended up doing like tyre changes and oil changes, and it was like, this is easy, like I'm bored of it, you know. So I got bored really quickly. And I'd left school to get out of classroom, and I ended up being back inside the classroom in college, you know. So I kind of didn't want to do it, you know. And I was working with my uncle in the garage and stuff, and I was in overalls and freezing cold, changing oil and tyres, and I was just like, this is crap. So I stopped that one because I wanted to become a mechanic on like motorbikes, because I'm into motorbikes. So I wanted to work on motorbikes, and I wasn't really interested in working on cars. So I stopped doing that, stopped college, and then by that point I'd already been Scottish champion and been to the British Championships a few times, once or twice, I think once, and then I started going to trips with Scotland, Team Scotland, representing Scotland, going abroad, going to tournaments, and I started doing quite well. Started coming back with gold medals everywhere I was going and doing all right. So I thought, I'm doing all right at this. So maybe start going to the gym maybe 3-4 times a week rather than just twice a week, you know. And I started doing that and doing well. And I then come back and I went to college again. About 6 months, the next year, I went to college again to do sport and fitness and nutrition and sort of like become like a sports development officer or something like that, you know. Or a personal coach or a personal trainer or something that down them lines. I'd been involved in sport, but by that point I was getting quite good at boxing, and I was getting called up for Scotland all the time to go here, there and everywhere, and so I was falling behind on the coursework at college and stuff. So I was doing all the work I was doing was fine, but I was so far behind because I was away all the time, and I was just like, I'm not going to be able to go to the next year's course now because I'm so far behind with my coursework. But I knew it all and I was doing well, and the teacher was saying, you know it all, it's just that I have to grade you. But I was like, I've not got the time to be doing it, I'm away all the time.
So Josh, what was it like how would you compare the feelings, I guess, between becoming a Commonwealth champion representing your country to in 2019 realising that dream and becoming a world champion?
I would say the Commonwealth Games is probably still the proudest moment in my life, because I've always known I was going to be a world champion. You know, like as a professional boxer, I always known that I was going to achieve, and that was my dream, was to become world champion. You know, so that was the end goal, to become world champion. But on the way, you know, obviously the Commonwealth Games, I didn't only do it for myself, I did it for my country, and it was in Glasgow and standing on top of the podium singing Flower of Scotland with a medal around my neck with my friends and my family and all of Scotland behind me, you know, because before I got selected to go, I was kind of tipped to win the gold medal and the poster boy of Scottish boxing, and I was on top of the Edinburgh Castle with my boxing gear on top of the cannons and the poster boy. So there was a lot of pressure put on me to win the gold medal because I got the silver in 4 years previous. So there was a lot of pressure on me to get the gold medal. So doing it, and then doing it in Scotland and doing it for my country with the hopes of the nation on my shoulders was, I'd probably say, was the proudest moment in my career so far. And in terms of becoming world champion, I always knew I was going to do it. So it was kind of just like mission accomplished. Right, what's next? Let's go to the next one. You know.
When it comes to becoming a world champion, I wonder what role Manny Pacquiao played in that role for you. When did he become such an important figure, and why was he such an important figure? I mean, you named a dog after him. You've got a tattoo.
Yeah, I've got the tattoo of him
as well.
Here, yeah.
So why is it that such a strong feeling you have towards him?
I just loved his fighting style. You know, I just loved the way how ferocious he was. His fast feet, his fast hands, southpaw like myself. You know, and I used to try and copy him and emulate him the way I used to shadow box and train and hit the bags and stuff. I used to just watch him and think he was amazing, you know. So, and then I went over to LA with my coach Terry, my amateur coach Terry. He took me over to LA and to the Wildcard gym, and we got to watch him sparring, and it was just amazing, you know. I was just in awe of him. So, yeah, I used to try and copy him because there's not too many southpaws that you really look up to and can really try and emulate. And at the time, Manny Pacquiao was the main man, and I just loved him. Yeah.
You became a world champion. That brilliant fight against Regis Prograis, which had everything, I think. But then you made the decision to move away from the McGuigan camp and move towards Ben Davison. Talk us through the decision making, because from the outside, everything seemed to be going swimmingly because you were still an undefeated fighter.
Well,
you become world
everything,
champion.
obviously in the boxing wise, like in terms of results, everything was good. Because my career was going the way I wanted it to go in terms of getting the results and things like that. But everything else was just an absolute car crash with organisation and management wise, really, and leaving me in the dark with everything. You know, in terms of boxing, they were okay, but everything else was just a car crash. You know, I was unhappy with the way they were, the type of people they were, and just real unhappy for a long time. And you know, places that were putting me in to stay and things like that, and it was just like I didn't have any, like I felt like I never had any value towards them. You know, like they made out that I was real, they were real close and really cared for me and stuff, but they didn't give a and that's the worst kind, I think, you know. But I just wasn't happy for a long time with a lot of things that was going on, and I made the decision well before the Prograis fight that win, lose or draw that fight, that was my last fight with him, you know. So I kept my mouth closed and focused on the fight. You know, I also had a bit of personal problems there as well before the fight with my family and stuff, well, my missus' family. So I just bit down on the gum shield, got the result, and you know, I was off, you know, because I just wasn't happy. I was beginning to really detest my boxing and hate going down to London and being in that environment, you know. So, and as well as being on my own as well, you know. So I was just hating it, you know. So it was time for me to take my career into my own hands and for me to enjoy boxing again. And now I'm the happiest ever, you know. So yeah, it's been the best decision I've made.
Talk us through that decision to team up with Ben, because the situation you were in at the time, you could have gone to any trainer in the world because of the credentials, because of the record you built up, because of the potential you had as well. So why Ben, and why has it worked out so well? Because Ben is still in the early stages of his career as a trainer, but he's demonstrated he is one of the best trainers there is.
It wasn't just an on-the-spot decision. You know, I'd been thinking of leaving the McGuigans for a long time because I was so unhappy. You know, so I was also looking at other coaches and the way other people work. You know, and the options in Britain were kind of limited, really. So the other options was moving away to America as well, which I was more than happy to do and more than willing to do. You know, because I've been living away from home since I was 17, really. You know, so yeah, I would have done that no problem. But I noticed Ben's pad work and the way he was working with the likes of Billy Joe, you know. And it really struck my eye because of the way Billy Joe's got fast hands, fast coordination, fast feet, you know, combination puncher, and really clever boxer as well, you know. So I noticed that the way they were working, and I thought that would be really good for my type of style of fighting as well. And you know, I got in contact with him, and he says, yeah, come down for a week. I went to a week's trial with him. They was in Dubai actually with Billy Joe at the time, and went over for a week, and first couple of sessions just clicked straight away, and I knew that was the trainer for me. But I had a couple of options open, so I thought, right, I'll go to the other trainer that I'd booked in to see as well, which was Adam Booth, and I went down there as well. And again, it was a really, really good coach, you know, and I could learn a hell of a lot from him. You know, he was teaching me the same sort of, both of them were saying the same sort of things, and both of them were really good coaches and really, really welcoming. But I think I just clicked a little bit more with Ben, and it's been proven to be a great decision. So yeah, I'm happier than ever now. And you know, the old saying, you know, a happy fighter's a dangerous fighter. It's a cheesy one, but yeah, I'm happy, and I'm really enjoying my craft again, and enjoying doing what I'm doing.
Ben's obviously helped enhance your game and propel you to a new level, but when you look at what you've achieved and what you did achieve last summer, becoming an undisputed world champion, so few on this planet have ever been able to do what you've done. You're part of a select club, but what has been the key, do you think, for you taking up the sport so late to becoming arguably one of the pound for pound kings now?
Just, you know, overall I would say persistence and consistency, and training and working hard. You know, like, I didn't always have the self-belief like that, like I can do it. I wanted to do it. I wanted to become world champion. Like, I would do anything to do it, but I didn't always have that belief that I am going to do it. There was always a little bit of, oh, I don't know, you know, like every coach I've had through the years, I've always said, you know, you can be world champion. The only person that's stopping you from doing it is you. I think the only person that never really noticed the talent that I had was myself, because I was I wasn't, you know, sort of self-confident in myself. You know, I was kind of like I was very outgoing and things like that, but in terms of self-confidence and that, I was quite like sort of within myself, you know. But I always wanted to become world champion, and I always would do anything to do it, you know, like sacrifice anything to do it, you know, and work hard. So I would say consistency, persistence, and just working my ass off, you know, and dedicating myself to my craft, you know. And it wasn't until I started doing well as an amateur, like doing really well, getting medals everywhere I was going, and then, you know, doing a medal at the Commonwealth Games, and then qualifying for the Olympics, and then getting the gold medal 4 years later in Glasgow. That gave me them experiences gave me the self-confidence, and I'm going to be world champion. I know I'm going to be world champion, you know, because I was coming to the experience from doing these results and getting these results, and from the hard work that I was doing. That gave me the self-belief and self-confidence. Then came to fruition, this belief in myself. But I would just say it was more hard work, dedication, and persistence.
The future looks really bright now. You're teamed up with Top Rank and Sky Sports as well, so there's some huge nights to look ahead to. One coming up in February against Jack Catterall. Does the lack of appreciation you've had affect you though? No,
it doesn't bother me. You know, I'm not in the game for adulations and pats on the back. I'm in it to be world champion and fight the best fighters in the world and be the best I can be. That's why I got into boxing. I never got into boxing for pats on the back and to, you know, say, oh, how's it going and all that, like champ, and like, you know, and be up on famous and all that. You know, I never really got into it for that. I got into it to become world champion. You know, sometimes it is a little bit disrespectful, I get, you know, like with the terms of, you know, people ignoring what I've did. You know, like if I'd been someone else or from somewhere else or on a different platform or maybe different management at the time as well, I'd maybe be a lot bigger this time. But it really, I don't lose any sleep over it. I'm not in it for that, to be honest. It is what it is, and you know, I let the results do the talking.
What do you think it will take for the whole world, not just the boxing world, because I think everyone in boxing thinks it's incredible what you've achieved, but for the whole world to take you seriously and take your credentials seriously?
I think I'm on the right path now. I've got the right team behind me. You know, I've got great management behind me. Go out their way, well above and beyond their duty to get my name and face out there. You know, I'm now on the best platform in the UK, Sky Sports, so they're going to be punting my profile to the next level as well, and my face is going to get seen everywhere. I never had that before. You know, I had what I had before was a management that were getting me fights, but weren't going out their way to promote me and weren't going out their way to put my face out there. They wanted to keep me like in a cage and keep me to themselves, sort of thing, you know. And that's how I believe. That's why I think my profile isn't bigger than it is, you know, because I got kept in a cage for so long.
How much motivation do you have now? What else do you want to achieve in this sport? Because I imagine it must be so easy once you've done what you've done in the sport to maybe step off the gas because you've achieved all that there is to achieve, but still you're hungry for more. Yeah,
I'm hungry for more. You know, I've got longer dreams and ambitions to become a two-weight world champion. I've achieved all I can at 140 now. You know, what's left to do is defend my belts, and other great fighters are coming through too. But in terms of achievements, I've done it all at my weight class. So to keep the fire burning and the motivation is set new goals, set new targets, keep moving forward, and become a two-weight world champion. You know, become a champion at welterweight. You know, maybe even become a unified world champion. Maybe even become an undisputed world champion at welterweight. You know, these are goals that are way down the line, but it's goals that I've got that is keeping me hungry and, you know, motivated to keep pushing on for more greatness and leave a real good legacy behind my name. I've already left a good legacy. You know, if I quit now, if I retired now for boxing, I would have a great legacy. But I want to keep going. I want to keep going and I want to achieve more. I still feel I've got more to achieve.
You're laser focused on Jack Catterall at the end of February, but is Terence Crawford the fight you really want at 147?
Well, listen, we'll see what happens. You know, I think there's loads of good fights out there at 147. You've got Errol Spence, you know, you've got Keith Thurman, you've got Dennis Ugas, obviously Crawford as well. You've got loads of good fights at 147. Whether it's for a title or not, they're massive fights out there. You know, so it's great. You know, it's massive. There's massive fights out there to be had. You know, and even on domestic shows, you've got your likes of your Conor Benns and stuff as well. There's some massive dust up as well in the UK as well. It'd be a huge fight. So the options now for me are endless. You know, I've got nothing but big fights on the cards now, provided all goes well on February 26th. And I need to make sure I get past February 26th, and that's all I'm bothered about. You know, because these dreams and ambitions all get a massive speed bump put in the way of them, because if it doesn't go well on February 26th, then I'm back to the drawing board and back to the bottom of the queue again to get these big fights again, you know. So I need to make sure I will get this win on February 26th. From a personal point of view, after February the 26th, how much are you looking forward to the couple of months you've got planned? Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, you know. I'll get away a wee holiday with the missus. We never got away a holiday after the last one. So I'll get away a holiday. I've got my stag do, and then I'm getting married, and so yeah, it's going to be a good year. I'm looking forward to it, you know, for another nice year for myself personally as well as in my career as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to having another good year and getting married and you know, tying the knot with my missus long before time. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Just how important a role, I think it's difficult to overstate the role that family have played for you in terms of your mother getting you into the sport and Danielle being so incredibly supportive along this journey so far. Yeah, I mean, they've been incredibly supportive in everything I've did. My mum and my dad and my little sister as well, you know. Just been really supportive of what I've did and supported me all the way. You know, if it wasn't for my parents and my family, you know, I probably wouldn't be where I am today, you know, because they really says go for it, you know, and they had my back. So yeah, I've got to give props to my parents and my family and my sister and my mum and dad, that they had so much belief in me as well. And finally, how special a night will it be on February the 26th? You've not fought in Scotland since 2019. It's going to be the homecoming party. Yeah. We want you to win, of course. All Scottish fans want you to be able to hold on to your belts before you move on to bigger and better things. Yeah, how special will that night be? It's going to be amazing. You know, I'm just looking forward to getting back to a full crowd capacity. You know, over the last 2 years, I've had 2 fights in 2 years, and there was about 10 people in the whole building with the front of the cameras, and it lasted only a minute and a half or whatever. But again, it was just no atmosphere in the place, and you know, a dead alien experience for me, boxing in front of no one, in the York Hall, and there was about 10 people in the hall, just the referees, the judges, officials, and paramedics, and that was about it. Then I went to Vegas to do the big fight, and again it was under sort of restricted crowds. There was I think just under 1,000 people in the hall, and it was brilliant. But it was good. There was a wee pocket of Scottish fans there as well, which managed to sneak into the fight, and it was good. It was good, a real massive achievement for myself. But that should have been so much bigger. That should have been a huge event for the UK. In terms of sporting achievement wise, and what was at stake. It should have been massive. It should have been huge. But obviously you can't blame anyone for the circumstances. But it should have been huge. So it's been a couple of frustrating years, but I'm looking forward to just getting back in front of a big crowd again, and performing on the big stage, and hopefully providing a successful night.